Welcome back to an instant reaction edition of the Night Report podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again is my co-host, Richie Schneiderite. Got 2 commitments to talk about, 6 podcasts in 6 days. Running on a little bit of steam here, but it's all right. We love doing this. First
Speak
commitment.
For yourself.
It is the weekend. It's fun talking to you guys, though, talking to Rich. The first commitment we kind of alluded to. This is a kid, Sage Clawges, who we originally kind of were talking about coming in as a receiver, but it sounds like he's actually coming in as more of an athlete. And we also thought he was going to come in as a 24 kid, and it turns out he's moving things up a little bit. So tell us a little bit about him as a player and how this whole thing came together.
Yeah, so Sage Clawges is a Morgantown, West Virginia native. Most of the kids that are Morgantown, West Virginia guys are probably going to stay down there, but they didn't offer for some reason. I don't know why. I find that a little interesting. So whatever, he did his thing in high school. Decided to do a prep year up at St. Thomas More, which Rutgers has built a pretty good relationship with over the past couple of years. He went up there, I want to say a couple months ago, actually, at this point, and then all of a sudden started adding offer after offer after offer after offer. Came to our rivals camp, looked pretty good at receiver, but he's going to come in as an athlete. So Rutgers, in terms of recruiting-wise, he didn't have anything big. Then Penn State offered, I want to say, in January. Then Syracuse offered, because they just follow every other program pretty much. But I hate to say it, but like Syracuse literally just offers whoever Rutgers offers, whoever Penn State offers, whoever Boston College offers. Syracuse is right there, right behind them. So then Iowa offered relatively recently. He went on a visit there for an unofficial back in March, and they were dead set to host him this weekend as a 2024 kid, and he was ready to go. Thursday night hits. Rutgers offers all of a sudden, or maybe it was Wednesday night, whatever day. Rutgers offers, and it's like, yeah, do you really want to go look at corn for the next 4 years, or do you want to just stay home where the better corn is? Not really home, I should say, but New Jersey definitely has better corn. I'm not going to debate that one. Canceled Iowa, now visiting Rutgers immediately, and we kind of hinted it was going to happen, and now he's a commitment. Now, 6'4", 184 athlete. He came to Rutgers Chop Elite Camp, or whatever the hell they call it, Elite something camp, a couple weeks ago. Ran a 4.5 40, looked really good in camp. Now he's coming in as an athlete. I'm told he's actually going to start out on the defensive side of the ball, although almost everyone has him rated as a wide receiver, which, whatever. Top 7, he's number 7 in the state of Connecticut for the 2023 class, since we fixed all that nonsense between him reclassing and not reclassing. In terms of scholarship-wise, it's not the craziest thing in the world, because if you look at the scholarship chart, there's not many safeties at all to start with. You have Dixon, Loyal, Igbinosin, Elijah Mack, and who am I missing? I'm missing someone. Oh, Zylan Williams, who ended up redshirting. So he'll be safety number 6. He kind of fits that strong safety mold of like Igbinosin and Dixon. He's going to redshirt year 1, so it doesn't really matter. But to get him on campus like this is huge. I thought he was a 2024 commit up until 1 o'clock when he committed, and I found out and got the info, and I was like, is it rolling now? Like, geez, it's huge. Had he stayed at the prep school, he probably would have blew up a little bit more, because he did have a couple Power 5 offers already. But this was huge for Rutgers to just get him, and not only get him, but get him enrolled pretty much within the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whenever they start heading to campus. But big win by Rutgers. He'll start out at safety. Safety probably, if I had to guess, 6'4". You're not playing corner at 6'4", 184. Could he grow into a linebacker potentially, or he sticks with that Dixon, Igbinosin linebacker hybrid safety type role? So great get for Rutgers, and there's no way around that one.
Yeah, so talk us through a little bit about how he decided to move into the 23 class instead of wait until 24, because it seemed pretty dead set about 24 until he committed, and then he was 23.
So staff talked to him on his official visit this weekend. Basically, he was already eligible technically, because he was already a high school senior. He did this 4 years at I don't know what high school it was, I forget. But he was, like I said, Morgantown, West Virginia native. Went down there for high school, finished up his high school, and then was like, hey, I'm going to go prep because I don't really have many offers. And it happens a lot with these kids. They go prep and they blow up out of nowhere.
Yep.
So instead of going to prep, I mean, technically he was at prep if you want to be
Yeah.
technical about it, but he went to prep with Ernest Anderson, who's a great coach, has produced tons and tons of talent up there. And here we are, a couple days late, not even a couple days later, like a day later. And basically they talked him into it, and he's joining the program this summer. Like I said, he's probably a red shirt, but I don't want to say definitely a red shirt because this happened last year late with Dario Jabome. Jabone? I
Yeah,
forgot
I
how to
think it's
pronounce it.
Shabon.
Jabone. And he came to campus late, played in all 12 games, mostly on special teams, and maybe Sage could do that too. It's not unheard of. And like Jabome, he was potentially a linebacker too at 6'4", 184 already. So huge addition. You get him on campus early, and we'll see what he can do over the next couple of years.
Yeah, big time commitment. Like we said, he's coming in as an athlete, so he could probably play defensive back or receiver. The staff's going to see the best position for him in camp. Most likely going to be a kid who redshirts this year. So you get him in, get him acclimated to being a college student, get him acclimated to the program, and by the time he's a redshirt freshman, he might actually be ready to play versus the time, if he would have went to college or went to high school for one more season and kind of not developed a whole lot in terms of college readiness.
You're not kidding. Great, like nothing really else to be said other than great addition. And Morgantown, West Virginia. I haven't heard that town in quite some time.
Yeah, I haven't either. It's a lot of fun. I don't know if you've ever been there, but Morgantown is a good time. Yeah. But the second commitment we had today, this is a teammate of a commitment from the class of 2024 in Sam Piloff. It's offensive tackle Carter Kadow. Now, this is a kid who primarily played tight end in high school until recently. He's a huge-bodied kid. I think he's like 6'7". I don't know his exact weight, but I know he's been putting on a lot of weight. He's very athletic. I heard the staff really liked him. Tell us a little bit about Carter Kadow and what you're hearing about his recruitment in general and how it ended up in a Rutgers commitment.
Yeah, so he came to the Big Band Academy yesterday, which was also the 7-on-7 camp. They do it at the same time. It is tough for, I want to say, like, just not just me, but just like any recruiting analyst or any like writer in general, because Big Man Academy is in the stadium. Then there's 7-on-7 games at the practice field. There's 7-on-7 games at what's it called, the intramural fields, and there's 7-on-7 games at the Livingston campus behind the rack. And I'm like bouncing around. But I did get to see the Big Man Academy for a little bit, and I was looking, and I was like, "Who the hell is that kid? Holy shit!" 6'7", like 260. I think he weighed in. It was 6'7", 266. I think it was when it was official, and like he just stands out among the group. And I'm like, "Damn, look at that guy! Holy shit!" Like,
big boy.
Yeah, I'm like, and someone's like, yeah, he's a tight end. I was like, fucking tight end. Bullshit. If he was a tight end, he'd be playing over at the 7-on-7 camp. He's not a tight end. He's over at the Big Man Academy. They worked him out. Flats did every drill possible with him. He paid his own way to get out here, to come to the camp and come work out in front of the staff, which is interesting to me because based on everything we were told is basically he was an offer from Indiana. He went there for an official visit last weekend, and it sounded like he was Indiana bound. And then Rutgers found out about him, got him out there. Like I said, he paid his own way to go out there, and they ended up landing him pretty quickly. That was simple as that. And they beat out Indiana. And I say Indiana, like everyone's like, oh, Indiana, like yeah, another bottom tier like Big Ten school. Like, no, this Indiana team has arguably just as good an offensive line coach in Bob Bostad who's a former Schiano guy too, mind you. And one of the, honestly, if you talk about offensive line coaches, he's probably up there with one of the best offensive line coaches in the country. So the fact that he beat them out is huge. And he's a converted tight end, so he still has to learn. But if you watch him, he bends really well. He blocks really well. He's mean as fuck. Like, I'll tell you right now, like, the kid is just like got a nasty mean streak in him. And if they can just pack on the pounds on him, he could be a pretty good lineman down the line. It's going to take some time, but give him 2-3 years and we'll see what he is.
And that's something that's so important about, we've talked about in basketball, defense is so much just like effort related, and that's the same thing for offense and defensive line. You
Mm-hmm.
have to really just be like a mean son of a bitch. Like you just have to want to
Yeah.
just dominate your opponent. If you don't have that, there's plenty of guys who are super athletic, super bendy, that just don't really have that mean streak in them, and they're just never going to work out. So to have that mean streak it's kind of a prerequisite to be a good lineman. So it's good to hear that he has that. I guess the staff really liked what they saw when they worked him out. You said that
Mm-hmm.
Flats was a big fan of his.
Yeah. Flats, Coach Valone, who's the unofficial like line coach, second in command for the most part, I guess. And I think of it like this: worst comes to worst, after talking to people, is he'll be a blocking tight end in the future, and that's a worst case scenario, which isn't a worst case scenario because they use those blocking tight ends quite a bit. You've seen Reggie Sutton do it early on in his career. You saw Kier Price do it a year ago. Cam Stewart did it a year ago too. Like, it's not unheard of. So, I mean, maybe he's not the perfect tackle in the world at the end of the day, but if he doesn't develop that much, you just put him at blocking tight end and just let him go, let him loose pretty much.
Yeah, so he'll definitely get used. He's probably another redshirt candidate though, just because he is converting from tight end. So give him a couple of years. I mean, what offensive line out of high school isn't a redshirt candidate? To be honest with you,
True.
Even a guy like Anthony Davis sat out, the first half of his freshman season. So, is there anything else about Carter before we talk about just how the camp went in general?
No, I mean, I talked to him. I'm sure you guys have seen the article already. He talks about just going to camp. Talks about talking to Sam about Rutgers, and kind of helped a little bit to get him there. But just that's pretty much it. Just a really good size, and not many people at 6'7", 266 can bend like that. So I mean, that's always an impressive trait when it comes to linemen, and he has that bend. So we'll see. I mean, maybe he does turn into a pretty good one after all.
Yeah, no, just stay tuned because it sounds like this is a kid the staff really liked and was kind of eyeing for a couple weeks now, and they made an offer this weekend when he was on campus, and they locked up the commitment pretty quick, which has been a common thread of this class, is targeting guys and quickly getting commitments, which is always ideal. Mm-hmm. You don't want to have an offer out there for a kid who's a little bit under the radar, or a kid you're just getting on campus and not locked them in.
Yeah,
so let's just talk about how the camp went in general. So you were there yesterday. It was a 7-on-7, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so it was a bit of nasty weather, but it sounds like you got to see a lot of kids out there. Who were some standout performers from the 7-on-7?
Yeah, I mean, weather up and down, but people still showed up and competed, which is always nice to see. I know I mentioned in the last one, not many Jersey kids are about competing, but this one had the top tier guys up and down. I think Dominic Toy, who's not really a Rutgers target anymore because they're filled at tight end, but he looked phenomenal. He caught one game-winning touchdown over both Jalen McClain, Ohio State commit, and KJ McClain, his younger brother, who has multiple Power 5 offers already too, for a game winner, and that was a hell of a haul. I think they started out 4-0. Obviously, they didn't win the thing, but heck of a day for him, and I was actually super impressed by him. I would, if I was Rutgers personally, I'd find room for him, but it sounds like they're kind of just, they're done at tight end, so it is what it is. Jalen McClain was there. I don't want to say the word hounded by the Rutgers coaching staff, but like anytime he was free, he had someone next to him in his ear, whether that be Harris Simiak, whether that be Mark Orphy, anyone, honestly. And there were so many coaches just watching him play. I still am in the minority. I don't think he's Ohio State good. But, I mean, Rutgers is still – it's one of those kids that Rutgers will push until the very end. Do they have two safeties already? Probably in Noah Shaw, who safety/linebacker, whatever you want to call him, and Dakari Gilly. Yes, but it's a Jersey kid. It's one of the better Jersey kids. I know we have him ranked at 12th, and I think that's about right. Like, I know that's crazy because everyone's like 12, Ohio State. Like, what's not adding up? And he's not 6 foot. Like, it says 6 foot there, and I'm like, I don't know if he's really 6 foot. But not a bad kid. His younger brother is going to be so much better than him, in my opinion. He's already taller, stockier. He already has several offers. 2026 kid, so mind you, down the line. But I think he's got Penn State, Rutgers, Syracuse already, if I'm looking at this correct. Really good prospect. I think he's West Virginia as well. But yeah, no, really good kid. Really good one-on-one coverage too as a man-to-man guy. E Hall's got a couple kids, and you always have to keep an eye on them because basically, if you're a Power 5 kid and you're at E Hall, it sounds like
Mhm.
you're almost guaranteed to go to Rutgers at this point. I don't want to say
Yeah.
it's a
Yep.
lock per se, but E Hall has got a great relationship with Rutgers, and I know Danny Lamberg, their head coach, is very big on relationships, and that's a big reason why if you're Power 5 good, you're going to Rutgers. If you're not Power 5 good, you're going to Bowling Green. And they've sent like 4 kids to Bowling Green over the past couple of years. He's all about relationships. And when they build that relationship, that's all that really matters to him. So, but they have Ellis Robinson, who's a cornerback that Orphe was all over at the camp. Loved his play. I was watching him watch him. It was just a really good lockdown corner. 2025 kid. Keep an eye on him. He has no offers yet, but I think Rutgers is going to offer pretty soon.
There's another Ellis Robinson. This is different from the Georgia
yeah.
kid.
Yeah, it's not him.
Okay.
That was Ellis Robinson the 4th or some shit.
Yes.
But he was at Christ the King or Iona.
He was
Prep.
at Iona, and then he went to IMG, and now he's committed to Georgia.
Different kid. This kid's an E-Hall kid. He's just really good. And then they have Lyric Samuel, who I'm trying to figure out if he's related to Curtis Samuel or not. I haven't heard word back. I probably should have asked that this weekend, but that's on me.
Yeah, and the reason, obviously, you think that's Curtis Samuel is an former E-Hall kid.
Exactly.
I think he was the first guy they had drafted, or at least drafted highly in their program history.
Yeah, so he's a tall, lengthy kid. Like I'm talking every bit of 6'4", 6'5". Like he's skinny. He's probably about like I want to say they have him listed 185, and I'm like that ain't it. It's like 165 maybe. But he was looking good, and then like a couple plays after, he was just like miserable. Like he looked like he just didn't want to be out there, and I was like, I went up to Danny and like I was like, hey, like. I love that kid. I think his potential is like through the roof, but like what's with him being like blah and like hating everything and like it's just like his mojo's off. He's like, hold on. I was like, oh God, no, what are we doing? And then KJ Stroud walks over, and KJ Stroud, mind you, former Rutgers receivers, their wide receivers coach. He's like, what do you think Rich just said about Lyric? And I was like, oh, come on, like what are we doing? And he's like, I knew I shouldn't have walked away from you two, and I knew you two were trouble. And I'm like, oh yeah, thanks, I appreciate that. So I said it to him, and he goes, I knew for word you were going to say that because I yelled at him for it on the field. I was like, I saw. That's kind of why I said it for the most part. And he goes, hold on, and brings Lyric over, and I'm like, God damn it, like what, Danny? Like he goes, tell him what you just said to me. I was like, no. He goes, no, he's not going to take offense to it. And I was like, when he doesn't talk to me in 2 years, I swear to God, I'm going through you. I'm going to be yelling at you. And I told the kid, I was like, honestly, end of the day, like you, not your mojo's off, but like you just seem like you don't want to be here. Like you seem like you're bored. You seem like blah, like fuck this, fuck that. Like you seem just down in the dumps. But like you want me to be honest with you? You have the potential to be the best player on the field. Like get a little like when you're lining up, actually line up. Don't go like I'm lining up. Like no, like get hyped, like get ready to go and run the route, catch the ball over the DB. These guys haven't offered you yet. Like I'll be honest with you, Rutgers hasn't offered you yet. You have a couple good ones. Don't get me wrong, Michigan State, Penn State, Syracuse, but Rutgers hasn't offered you yet, and they're evaluating everything. Like they're not just evaluating your skill set. Yep. They're evaluating like your talent, your like. Just how your stature is on the field and stuff, and like how you like are a good teammate. Shit, you not. The next game, the man goes and scores 3 touchdowns and like is jumping over people, and I'm like, wow, holy shit. And I'm sitting there with Fonseca, and I told him the story too, and he's like, you just changed that kid's life. And I was like, yep, that's me. Life changer over here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so Richie is the fire burning inside Lyric Samuel's belly now.
Yeah. I was waiting for him to run over to me with the ball and just be like, I fucking told you.
Oh my God.
I'm good. Just kidding.
Please
I'm sorry.
Don't hurt me. Yeah.
But yeah, no, he had a hell of a camp. I think Rutgers has a good shot at him as long as they offer. The Ellis kid I was telling you about before, Jalen McClain was there. Yasin Willis was there, but although consensus is he's still going elsewhere. He was rocking Rutgers gloves though, which I mean, if you want to overlook it,
Never a bad thing.
Overthink and be like, oh, he's wearing gloves. Like Corey Duff was wearing Miami gloves last week. Guess where Corey Duff's not going? Miami.
Mm-hmm.
So a little preview there. It sounds like he might be next, but yeah. That's pretty much it. The camp was good. A lot of good kids. There's a kid named Terrence Johnson that really impressed me from my own prep. He's a little slow, but he's a legit like 6'1", 6 foot cornerback. He had a pick 6 against Bayonne. Anthony Davis was there for a little bit. He's like the official staff member. He's not like part of the staff, but he's there like every single day of the week, whether it be training camp, actual like 7-on-7 camp or whatever. He's just there. All the coaches were out and about. They were very prominent. They made themselves known. John Perry was there. He's back on staff again. Former Houston Texans wide receiver coach. Then went to Sam Houston State OC after a year at Rutgers and now back on the banks. Ton of good coaches. New York continues to impress me. I know a lot of people don't talk about New York, but 2025 in New York is going to have a lot of good kids, a lot of Power 5 kids, in my opinion. I know there's probably like 12 right now in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2025 could surpass that.
Interesting.
They just have a ton of talent. Like it's kids that like to compete. Like I keep saying it, like Jersey kids just don't care. But if you get New York kids to start competing that way, like it's insane. So we'll see. And it's spread out a little bit. It's not just E-Hall. I know everyone says E-Hall produces a ton, and they do. They have like, 3 to 4 to 5 kids every year that go to G5 or better. But Iona Prep's starting to produce more. I know West New York's getting a little better. Tottenville has another running back that's pretty good. So it is spread out a little bit. But overall, like great camp. That was one of the better camps I've seen this spring. And I'm very impressed that Rutgers was able to get some big names on campus along with some nice youngsters, up-and-comers on campus as well.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like a pretty awesome camp. Good turnout, even though the weather wasn't great. Some good competition. Richie inspiring the youth. So glad to hear all these things. The one last thing I wanted to mention, and it's something we haven't even talked about yet, sounds like a transfer portal candidate who I haven't heard any connection with Rutgers yet, but he's a New Jersey guy. Ithiel Horton. He was previously at Pitt. He went to UCF. I guess he started at Delaware, went to Pitt for 3 years, and played last year at UCF. He's a kid from Roselle Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
He just entered the portal today. He's a guy who averaged 12.3 points per game last year. He shot 35% from 3 on almost 7 attempts a game. He shot 83% from the line, averaged 4 rebounds a game, 2 assists a game, 1.5 steals a game. He's a 6'3", 200-pound shooting guard. I mean, it fits kind of exactly what Rutgers needs. He's a New Jersey kid. Who knows what he's looking for, but that's another name to be aware of in the portal. He started all 34 games last year for UCF. So it's a name to file away.
Definitely interesting because based on simple mathematics, and I'm saying simple because I didn't do the math, I'm assuming he played with Cliff at Roselle.
Yes, he did.
Fair enough. Dave Boff is a pretty big fan of Rutgers. Good guy, nice guy. I know he supports the in-state schools. No longer at Roselle, obviously, but he's now at the College Achieve something Academy, blah, 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 at Asbury, which also now has top prospects. Coincidence? I don't think so. I think he's a great coach, and he's going to get guys to follow him. Whatever.
Yep.
ACC, Pitt connections to technically Brandon Knight, blah, blah, blah. I could talk about those, but his numbers are pretty good. I'm assuming he probably got hurt in 2021-22 because he only played 13 games.
It seems like it.
He's averaging 30 minutes before that, so really good 3-point percentage. And when I say really good, it tailed off this past season, but before that, he was averaging like 37% from 3. A little higher than that, actually, if you factor in his Delaware numbers too. Shot almost 41% from 3 with Delaware. then dropped down to 37 and 30, almost 38 with Pitt in 2021-22. But a really good kid. Like, it seems like his numbers are actually pretty solid. I would take him in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I don't know what his game's like. I didn't watch tape. I know he just entered, I don't know, like 10 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago. Maybe a little longer than that, but
it was a few hours ago. But yeah, this afternoon.
Yeah, this is the first I've heard of him, so you're catching me off guard a little bit. But I'll have to check him out and see if he fits. But I mean, everything kind of lines up. ACC, high major at UCF and AC and Pitt. Transfer. He's actually considered a playmaking wing according to this account. So fits everything they need, everything they want, and Jersey kid. So I wouldn't be shocked. 1 year guy, and that's kind of all you need to fill in until you can get those other guys in here with Ace and Dortch and maybe Dylan.
Yeah, and to be clear, his UCF profile does list him as 6'5", 200, but his college basketball reference lists him at 6'3", so let's just split it. He's probably around 6'4", if I had to guess. So good size. He's a scorer. He's decently efficient. He's got a pretty good outside shot. This is a kid that Rutgers would love to land, in my opinion.
Yeah, it seems like a decent. I'm just watching tape now. A decent 3-point shot. Attacks the rim and not afraid of the contact. Attacks the rim actually quite a bit. It seems like he attacks the rim like it says 24% of his field goal attempts are at the rim, which is interesting. And he's not just hitting from three; he's hitting from pretty fucking deep on these things. Like he's like did 12 threes more than 25 feet. It says, wow, that's actually impressive. He's a pretty good kid, and if you can get a shooter like that to pair up with Noah Fernandez, who can kind of hit mid range, can kind of do it all, and just dribble off ball and create his own shot, like that's a pretty damn good combo between those two. And then add in Mag, adding Griffiths, just spotting up. I'm telling you, spot Griffiths up in the corner. If he's that good of a shooter, just don't do anything with him for first year. But I like this kid a lot. I mean, you could pull him in. Hell, you're a tournament team.
Yeah, no, it'll be a good hypothetical pickup. Obviously, this is just speculation. Just we try and draw connections where we can when we see portal things, and that sometimes, that bears great fruit. Like JD Dorenzo, we were the first on just from connecting dots. Obviously, Sean Bowman. We've connected a lot of dots to these portal guys. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes it does. But this seems like it's a great fit, assuming that he's interested in coming here. So
yeah, be a little crazy not to reach out, to be honest.
Yep.
So
that's all I got. Is anything else that you wanted to bring up before we head out today?
Yeah, I got one thing I wanted to talk about. So I was reading this article this morning, yesterday, the other day, whatever it was. So apparently this beer company is starting an NIL fund for University of Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
What?
That's pretty cool.
They
made basically a beer that is like specifically catered towards NIL. So anytime you order that beer at any local bars, portion of the proceeds would go to the Cincinnati NIL fund.
Yeah, so $2 for every case sold of Cincy Light and $1 for each individual 12-pack will go towards NIL. Hear me out. Cool. They need to. I know this brewing company. I forget what it was, but they had a Rutgers beer.
Yeah, the Scarlet Ale.
Yeah,
I think it's Asbury Park Brewing.
Was it? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Here, that's
a really good beer too, and I'm a bit of a beer snob. I'm not willing to give out
beer advice.
I'm just not willing to give out like a good rating on a beer unless I actually mean it. The Scarlet Ale was really good from Asbury Park Brewing.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it makes a lot of sense to just, if you're Asbury Park, Rutgers, kind of partner up, hey, just every dollar. And I can guarantee you, and you already kind of do partner up actually, because they do that beer fest every year in front of the stadium. So it just makes a ton of sense. Just hear me out.
It does, and it wouldn't be surprising to me if something like that was going on behind the scenes. Obviously, we're speculating here, but it would make a ton of sense.
Yeah, I mean, Rutgers Brewfest. You can also probably promote it in all the bars. I'm sure. Tavern on George and Red's Beer Garden, all those good places are definitely going to be on board. I would assume.
I would assume anything that's going to drive up revenue, I'm sure they're all about.
Yeah. So An idea.
Yeah,
Just throwing it out there.
yeah, that was a cool perk. I agree. Maybe they have something in the works already. Who knows? But if they don't,
Mm.
and you listen, and you're running a brewery in New Jersey, this is your opportunity. Reach out to one of the NIL collectives, Knights of the Raritan, Knight Society. I'm sure that they would love to be in contact and be a partner.
And then reach
Um,
out to us because we will promote it.
I will definitely
I will try
crack
the
a
beer.
few. Yeah, I'll definitely crack a few cold ones on a podcast. I know people have talked about them wanting to for us to do some kind of like wet cast or just like crushing
God.
beers or drinking LeGrand's whiskey. Um, that'll go off the rails. Maybe we'll do that for the drawing. We'll do like a night podcast, like a live show, and just get a little tuned up, draw some names.
It's not a bad move. I will say last year I did join a podcast. It was the Hawkeyes and Tall Boys.
Okay.
And those guys, I'll tell you, they know how to drink. They're pounding down Tall Boys as I'm talking Rutgers football. It was something. And shout out to them because they were awesome. But I'm definitely not doing Scarlet Knights and Tall Boys. I'm good on that.
Yeah, maybe it's a once in a year type thing, but definitely not regularly.
Yeah, not kidding. But that's all I got. I'm done.
All right, guys. Well, thanks once again for listening, guys and girls. This has been another episode of the Night Report podcast. Signing off.